Uh, Dateline Cleveland. Baker Mayfield feels the Cleveland Browns deceived him about their offseason plans, which resulted in them trading for Deshaun Watson. Speaking on a podcast, Mayfield, whose tumultuous 4-year run as Cleveland's quarterback essentially ended when the team acquired Watson in a stunning deal last month with the Houston Texans, said the team was not upfront with him. I feel disrespected 100% because I was told one thing and they completely did another. Mayfield struggled, blah, blah, blah. He underwent surgery. I really, truly, honestly have no regrets of my time at Cleveland of what I tried to give that place. True Clevelanders and true Browns fans know that's why I can walk away from the whole situation like I did. Here's the thing. And then he was upset because he was booed in week 11 and decided not to do a post-game news conference. When people are so critical of it, I would love to show up somebody's cubicle and just boo the crap out of them and watch them crumble. I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that I got caught up in all the negativity and stuff during the year last year. Here's the thing. It's just an amazing situation in my mind, what's unfolded. And it's one that I predicted, by the way back when I said the Browns are always going to be idiotic after they picked Baker Mayfield with the first pick of the draft, with a bunch of other guys much better on the board. Baker Mayfield is who they came up with. They deserve what they get. And basically, it proved to be correct. He wasn't good enough. I mean, he's struggled to stay healthy. He's played through some injuries and stuff. Last season he played, but he was injured the whole year. He's a guy who was always seemingly going to make a big mistake at the worst time. And if you take away the Steelers playoff game, he's a guy who basically has far more games that he's blown than games that he's won. And I don't even know if I would say that he won that Steelers game. I think that the Steelers played horribly and gave up some easy touchdowns and gave the ball away, and they were down 28-0. He didn't even have to do a whole lot to win that game. But my point is, I just think that Baker Mayfield is a guy who needs to stop crying. And it's funny, he's the kind of guy that everybody wants to hear from or hear about because, he's controversial or he says things or he's emotional. But at the end of the day, when you strip it down, he's a very mediocre quarterback. He's just not that good. And it is just basically, a situation of where it's just one of those things. I think that, he's got to move on and hope that he's got to move on and just hope that he is able to and capable of finding a new home and a new place and making it so that he can, making it so that he can win. And get back to winning, so to speak. That's the thing I would tell you. So it feels to me like this is a divorce that was basically going to happen from day one. And that's the thing that's troublesome to me. It could have been avoided. But now where does Baker Mayfield go from here? And what are the Browns going to do? Because I'm sure the Browns want to try and get something in a trade for him, but who's going to trade for him? I mean, is this a situation of where they keep him on the roster and just kind of keep him hold him hostage for his last season? And listen, he might be able to sit here and tell us with a straight face that he is a guy who, was lied to or whatever. But I just don't know that that's the case. Because I think anybody that really read the writing on the wall understood or understands, to be honest, that he was not going to be back. He just wasn't. And the Browns were actively looking for a quarterback. They made that very clear. The difference between them and the Steelers didn't make a panic move like the Browns did. Now, the Steelers went out and got Mitch Trubisky, who is somebody that, we'll see. He could be, what he is. He is what he is, I guess is what I'm saying there. But my point is, he could be, good enough for them to win games. He could also be a guy who loses his job to Mason Rudolph by week 6 or something. Let's face it. That's what he could be, and that's what he probably is. So at the end of the day, I feel like, they did it. They made a move, and they tried to, make a move that really is safe from the standpoint of they didn't tie themselves to a bad contract, didn't tie themselves to a player for 4 or 5 years. They really have a very team-friendly contract, which means if they draft a guy and he's so good that he's capable of, taking over, it's no skin, off their back at all. So, that's they made a measured choice, a measured decision. And they were able to get a guy who, might give them a chance to win, win some games or whatever. But at the end of the day, they know they've got to get better. And they understand it. The Browns, on the other hand, I think panicked. And maybe they needed to panic. But it tells you everything you need to know about what they were thinking in terms of whether or not Baker Mayfield was capable of doing whether he was capable of doing things that they needed to get done to win. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. They panicked because they didn't believe they had any chance at all of winning with Baker Mayfield. That's the key to me. And I think that's, always important, really, in many ways. It's always important to remember that and understand that. And so they decided that they needed it. But the fact that they went out and got it done, I think is important. I mean, that tells you everything. That tells you everything you need to know, really, about what the Browns felt about him. Really, tells you everything you need to know about what the Browns felt about him. The fact that they panicked, way overpaid in some ways for Deshaun Watson, then way overpaid in a trade, and did everything in their power, and knew they were going to have to deal with the fallout and deal with the bad publicity and everything that came with it. Those were the things that told you they were dead set on making sure that they moved on from Baker Mayfield. It makes sense, but to me, if he read the writing on the wall, he wouldn't be crying today about how they misled him. And the thing about it is, it can't be a surprise to him Can it? It can't be a surprise that they're not, interested in bringing him back. It can't, can it? And I think that that's the big thing here. The big lesson is look at the two organizations and look at how they handled their quarterback. They're both in the same situation, just about. I mean, one team had Mason Rudolph, the other team had Baker Mayfield. I would be willing to bet if Mason Rudolph went to Cleveland and was named the starter and was able to start these last 3 or 4 years, I am willing to bet that he would be as good or maybe even better than Baker Mayfield has been. So to me, both teams had the same guy. And guess what? One team did what they always do. They took a measured approach, a very sensible approach, a very practical approach, and said, we're going to go get a quarterback, but we're not going to get one that we're going to be tied to for a long time because we know he's probably not good enough, and we don't want to make a panic move with respect to a draft or a free agent. We want to make sure we take our time and go get the right guy. The other organization did what they normally do, which is impulse buy. Impulse buy. That's what it is. And, they panicked, but they had to. And the fact that they had to, again, that tells you every single thing you need to know about how he should not have been surprised that they decided to go in a different direction. I mean, it's pretty clear they just don't think he's all that good. Period. And they haven't for a while. So I just believe that it's important that we go through all of these things one at a time, and it's important to remember that. I just think that Baker Mayfield is basically making things up now, and he had to have known that he was on thin ice. So at any rate, I mean that's the way things happen.